We got ourselves some 49er football waiting for us on Monday night against the Los Angeles Rams. And to talk about that, everything that happened this week leading up to it, our pal Cam Inman joins us here on Damon and Ratto on a Friday afternoon. Appreciate your time, Cam. How are you, pal?
I'm doing great. Happy hour. Happy Friday. Right
back at you, man. So, obviously, we want to talk about the Niners, but everyone in the NFL is talking about the Bengals game last night and the Tua injury, which just, not even trying to draw a line back to what happened Sunday. That isolated injury alone was scary enough. I know that Jimmy Garoppolo was asked about this today. I'd like to play what he said and then ask you a follow-up on that.
I didn't see it, actually. I saw, a clip of it. I think it was earlier today. But, yes, scary situation. You always just hope the best for a guy like that. We've all, been in those situations. But, I don't know, I think with the protocol, you just got to trust the process, trust that everyone's doing their job the correct way, and let things fall as they may.
Cam, do you think Jimmy really believes that the NFL has players' best interests in mind? And if he does really believe that, should he?
I actually asked Jimmy that question and a couple other players in the locker room. And the main vibe I got, Damon, is they believe the NFL's kind of put more strict measures in place for concussions over the last few years. But they also say, players need to be safe from themselves, that the teams are the ones that have to step in. And, George Kittle essentially said that Tua was, they failed Tua by letting him play last night. And it's really concerning to me. I take concussions and brain trauma very seriously, and I think the players do too. And George put it in perspective of, look, that they know the hazards that come with this game. And there's only so much that players can do to protect themselves, that the team can do. That's why the NFL put all these independent neurologists in place. And if something's slipping through the cracks or a player's back on the field within 4 days of a concussion, something major is wrong. And it will be looked at. And I think George put it in a good way, also saying that as strict as the measures are right now, it's going to get even tighter because this is a hot-button topic for good reason.
Did you get the sense from talking to any of the players that they have sort of an idea about taking it out of players' hands, maybe simply by deciding, that looks like a head injury, I'm not even going to ask you what it is. You're not going to play for the rest of this game, and then we're gonna let the independent people examine you after that. What exactly do they want to happen? Did they say anything concrete?
They didn't say anything concrete, but it gets back to that point, Ray, of how do you determine somebody's healed from a concussion? And it's not like going in to get an x-ray. You can do CT scans to find out if there's any serious brain issue going on that needs emergency treatment. And if I can get personal for a second, my daughter had a concussion 3 weeks ago at college, and she's still having serious effects and went and got a CT scan the other day. So it's just, you have to give it time to heal. And it's not like the players are saying, hey, if you see us, get us out of the game and sit us for 2 weeks. That's not a player's mentality. So it falls upon the league and the NFLPA to make sure protocols are in place to protect them from further hurting themselves.
Cam, I mean this. I hope your daughter is well. Please give her our best, and we hope she feels just like herself sooner than later.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. As the 49ers get ready for the Rams, we know that there's a lot of positive history for Kyle Shanahan against Sean McVay, but you can pretty much throw all of that out. This is a new year. And to me, like the official year, and I know we keep on pushing back the start date, like this is the week that the year begins. Like no more quarterback mumbo-jumbo or jumbling of QB1, QB2. Won't be a torrential downpour. Won't just be a weird night in Denver. This is familiarity in a home game, and I think a big test that the Niners need to play well through when it comes to improving an offensive performance that let everyone down in week 4. Where's the rub? Like, what needs to happen to improve this offense over what we saw last week, and how available is that without Trent Williams protecting anyone's blind side?
Well, there you just nailed it, because the offensive line, it starts there. And without your best offensive lineman or the league's best offensive lineman at left tackle to protect Jimmy Garoppolo's blind side, I'm very concerned what this 49er offense is going to be able to do. You know, they usually pull out some kind of a trick against the Rams that exposes them and is able to rack up yards and points. It's worked so well in the regular seasons they're by winning the past 6 regular season matchups, but it didn't work in the NFC Championship game. You know, a lot of people will bring up last year's win over the Rams on Monday night at Levi Stadium in an October game. Niners go in 3-5. Everybody thinks they're dead. And then they rallied, and they played great. They ran the ball like heck. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot this game, too. It's just going to be a lot harder to do without Trent Williams there, all due respect to Colt McKivitz. And then on the flip side of it, this really could be fascinating in terms of the Jimmy Garoppolo-Kyle Shanahan relationship, because his trust eroded to the point where what will Kyle ask Jimmy to do? Is it just going to be one of those games where, hey, man, just hand the ball off. We got to win this game by running the ball and keeping the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands. Or we'll be fine. You want to throw the ball around the yard? You got Kittle, you got Ayuk, you got Debo. Have at it. Because I don't think the Rams are necessarily going to be expecting that. So it adds a big element of mystery, but it all circles back to, yes, they don't have Trent Williams, so that will be the weird aspect of this game, just as it was rainy in Chicago and rainy their first home opener against Seattle.
Is there anything about the rest of the offensive line that can be done to maybe shore up that huge gap? Or is there, are Kyle Shanahan, how badly are Kyle Shanahan's hands tied behind him?
No, they're not. I mean, but think about this, Ray. In past years, it's not like they had the best line in the league going against the Rams over these past few years, right? And they found a way to neutralize Aaron Donald to an extent, other than in the NFC Championship game finale, where they were able to just keep the ball away from them, get the ball out of the pocket quickly, get running to the sides, get the ball into Debo's hands, let him roll. Those are still in play. So this is a big game for Kyle Shanahan to show that he can figure out a way to make do with what he's got, and what he's got is what, you know, this is what he set himself up for in the offseason. They did not go out and get veteran offensive linemen. They stuck with their homegrown guys and let it roll because they invested their money elsewhere.
Cam Inman here on 95.7 The Game. In terms of opening up this offense, some guys running downfield far enough to throw them the ball to open it up, that'd be a nice element to incorporate too. This is why Danny Gray was drafted, but we do not see him yet pretty much this year. Will we see him? I know he's listed as questionable against the Rams.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see him. Danny Gray has not practiced the last 2 days, so the secret weapon all 49er fans want to see is probably going to stay a secret for a while longer. I mean, if he's not practicing in the 2 biggest practices of the week, it's not something that they're setting him up for the grand unveil. He's yet to touch the ball his rookie season. He got targeted twice earlier in the year. This is falling on your big-time playmakers. This is going why Debo got paid. This is why Brandon Ayuk's a first-round pick. This is why George Kittle's the highest-paid tight end in the league. You have 3 guys. You don't have the time either to sit in the pocket 5 alligators to heave it downfield to one of these guys. You got to get it to them on open space, on the money, and that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is best at doing.
Is Tevin Coleman going to be elevated?
Ooh, that's a good question. Tevin Coleman signed last week to the practice squad. Kyle Shanahan said he would have been up had it not been for the altitude in Denver because Tevin Coleman has, I believe, sickle cell, and they didn't want to risk anything with him. So, and they downplay what they have in Jordan Mason as a rookie, right? That he had just his first carry last game and went 7 yards, but they're downplaying him, saying he may not be quite ready for this big stage, but maybe he is. Maybe they're just sandbagging. But Coleman adds that extra element where he's familiar with this offense. Obviously, he did really well in 2019 for them to kind of set up runs with Raheem Mostert. And Chris Forrester, the run game coordinator, said that Coleman, I guess recently in practice, just showed some explosiveness running down the sideline that really opened eyes. So definitely in play. I mean, we've heard more about him in his 1 week here than we've heard about Jordan Mason or Marlon Mack.
The defense has handled 3 poor offensive teams so far.
Yeah.
how do you parse out how they're going to do against the Rams based on the fact that you don't really have a sense until now about what they do against a team that can actually score a point?
Yeah, they got Cooper Kupp, right, who's got this great chemistry with Matthew Stafford. So I would say the biggest surprise of the 49ers defense so far is, yes, we knew that they were going to dominate these early games, but the secondaries played so well, especially safety Talanoa Hufanga and new cornerback Travarius Ward. That really gives you encouragement. But again, Kupp's going to line up in the slot a lot, so they're going to have a new nickelback on him. And it's probably going to be Diamador Lenore, a guy that couldn't really get on the field after his first 2 starts as a rookie last year, or Sam Womack. But the other issue defensively is they may not have their 2 interior tackles in Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. Neither of those guys have practiced this week. Kinlaw mysteriously has gone on the injury report with a knee issue, and that's not good because he missed most of last year with an ACL.
Yeah, I was about to say, when did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's and, you know, Shanahan briefs us before practices on Wednesdays, and he goes over who's not going to practice, and Javon Kinlaw's name was not on there. And then after practice, Javon Kinlaw's name was there for did not practice, and we don't get any clarification from the team other than D'Amico Ryans talked after practice today, so I did ask what the status is of Kinlaw and Armstead, and he said, those guys will be fine. They'll be out there. And then we said, well, wait a minute. Does that mean they're going to be out there Monday night? And he wouldn't go there. So it's kind of like, well, what's going on here? So I don't know what's going on. It's not great, but they do have Nick Bosa, and Bosa's got 4 sacks, should have more. Samson Ebukam, who plays opposite him, he got a sack on the 3rd play of the season, and he hasn't had one since. And he said he should have gotten 2 in Denver, but was held. That's great, but they need to get more production. As great as they're playing defensively, Damon, which is kind of why they're still in this, why they can get through the offensive rough patches, they need to play even better, and they need to get to Matthew Stafford the way the Buffalo Bills did. They got him 7 sacks in the NFL opener.
Our pal Cam Inman here on a Friday afternoon. It's officially 5 o'clock. Welcome to your 5 o'clock hour.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Damn well better be free. Speaking specifically of the Rams, they have not looked very Super Bowl-ish in the first 3 games. Are there things that are wrong with them other than their injury list that make them maybe more susceptible to losing than you would think?
Well, they don't have their left tackle Andrew Whitworth anymore, and that to me is that's one way the Niners might be able to get to Stafford better. Remember, going into this year, people were curious about Stafford's elbow, and that really hasn't necessarily been a storyline because he's completing about 70% of his passes, which is tremendous, but most of them are checkdowns. They got Allen Robinson that's kind of getting ingratiated into the offense that still revolves around Kupp. And then defensively, look, man, as long as you got Aaron Donald out there, you got Jalen Ramsey who can roam and play different spots, and then you've added Bobby Wagner who knows this 49er offense quite well from his days in Seattle. It gives me pause because it's across the board. They have the talent that's a Super Bowl team still, and they are 2-1. And the Niners, whatever, force they thought they had against the Rams by, just, I don't want to say that they beat them up, but like they said, it's always a physical game. They need to do that again this week to have a chance because, they're playing from behind right now, and even if they're favored or not, it's just, there's too much kind of there's bad mojo right now with this team. And it's just those 2 losses in Chicago and Denver obviously contributed to it. And, when you lose your starting quarterback in Trey Lance, your starting running back in Elijah Mitchell, and your starting left tackle in Trent Williams, that to me doesn't reflect a Super Bowl contending team the way we thought it would.
No, but it's pretty much on par with a lot of other Niners seasons. It's amazing the amount of guys that get stripped out of this depth chart before you even get into the year. It's crazy.
It's like the even year jinx that they have, right? It's like another year as they have that.
So let me ask you, and this isn't just a question about the Niners, this is a question about the league. Is a loss as valuable or as damning as it used to be? Obviously now that we have 17 games, but the way that I see it, that this is a league that has so designed itself for parity, I think maybe we need to adjust are clutching of our own pearls when a team loses a game. I saw this today, that if the Raiders and Houston Texans both win and the Eagles take a loss this Sunday, every team in the NFL will have at least one win and one loss. And Josh Dubois went on to write that it would be the first time in the Super Bowl era that every single team has had one win and one loss at the end of Week 4. Bill Parcells famously said, "You are what your record is." Do you believe that anymore?
Yeah, I see. I think you bring up a great point because, I mean, right now the Niners are only one game out of first place. Right? Makes you think a little differently.
Right. When you say it like that.
Yeah. Well, here's where I think that you need to kind of dig in more on a record is the division. This is if things are going to be so parity driven, you better win your division games. I mean, division games have always been more important, but if more teams are losing, there's more leeway. Those division games obviously are top priority, and then the conference games are too. We kind of saw that as the Niners were going into their playoff stretch last year, and you're doing the handicapping of tiebreaker procedures, and the conference games and obviously had carried more weight, and then so do the division games. And the Niners beat Seattle, which was a hurdle that they needed to get over. A Seattle team without Russell Wilson finally. So, I mean, if they hold serve against the Rams and they're 2-0 in the division, things are looking a lot better than if you just say, "Oh, well, they're 2-2 overall." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, hey. Well, what's your gut telling you from Monday night? Are they 2-2 or 1-3 by the time we go to bed?
My gut is queasy, and the fact that they don't have Trent Williams and the offense looks so bad in Denver. No, I think the Rams are gonna. I think the Rams are gonna come into Levi's and win on prime time. Not being a homer anymore.
Anymore?
As they got 2 road games coming up in the following 2 weeks. I mean, that sounds a little. It's beatable opponents on the road with Carolina and Atlanta. But you don't want to go into that 2-game road trip sitting at 1-3. So it's a big Monday nighter for sure. Are there any plans to pitch a tent in either Ohio or West Virginia with the back-to-back East Coast games?
Well, first of all, wait, one more thing on Levi's. I mean, the Niners have won 5 games in a row there, the place where they never could win. They finally actually have their longest win streak there. So they got that going for them, too. And then, yes, then they're off to Charlotte, and then we go up to West Virginia they will be staying at the lovely Greenbrier. The Greenbrier, where tea times are way beyond my price range. So I'll be staying I believe that Lewisburg, West Virginia claims to be the cutest small town in America. And they do have 3 barber shops in a 1-block radius, so I give them that. And then it's back down to Atlanta. So yeah, 2 winnable games on the road. So if they go into that and they're 1-3 and they come out 3-3, season restarts.
Does the Greenbrier offer falconry?
The Greenbrier has a lot of stuff. They have a tremendous. I mean, this is going to be the 3rd straight year going there, and it's very remote and isolated. So the team is not going to get into any trouble there. So can't speak for myself.
Okay, then fess up. How do you get into trouble in that town?
Mayoko's driving me, so he's got to get me into the town first, and then we'll take it from there.
Good luck to you both. Cam, before we let you go, today is the 14 and walk through that just a little bit. Memory lane? See what I did there? No pun intended. Cam, thank you so very much. We'll see you on Monday night, and we'll talk to you then, brother. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me. Take care. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You do the same. Cam Inman here on 95.7 The Game.